Hey, welcome to Jiao episode 10. Fuck. 10 episodes already.
Yeah, 10 episodes, dude.
How are we doing, guys? Guys, how are we doing? We need some feedback. We haven't gotten feedback in a while.
Yeah. Tell us whether or not y'all are still listening or y'all have given up on us.
Or vote for us. Vote for us. I think we're going to contest as independent
Party.
公教会
party.
Birthday party.
That'd be interesting if one day we actually decide to go political.
Yes. And then we 公教会 in parliament.
Yeah.
That would be the end goal of this podcast.
Yeah.
So we will change Singapore one Jiao at a time.
Yes. Jiaoing is very important. It keeps people happy.
It's a good influx of ideas, I think. No matter how nonsense it is, I think good ideas come from nonsense sometimes.
Yep, sometimes definitely.
It's the mingling of outlandish ideas that might be too radical for your paper journals.
Yeah, so we represent the voice of the people and
the cocksters.
The cocksters, yeah. Pretty interesting so far, all the debates. I think.
Have you guys heard or watched the debate yet? Anyone out there?
If nobody has watched the debate yet, at least y'all are up to date on the memes from the debates, for sure. Right. We've seen what's the deputy prime minister guy's
name?
We've seen him fuck up.
We have a
Together Singapore. Yeah.
Our East Coast residents, we also have a plan for the East Coast. We have East Coast, Singapore, we have a together at East Coast plan. We care at East Coast. So we look forward to working closely together with our residents to enable the East Coast and the whole of Singapore to emerge from this stronger. So.
Oh, have you seen what's the female general's name?
Oh shit, yeah. She
overlay with Daenerys.
Yeah.
Like going to war, man.
That's why. The one I don't know whether she's trying to garner votes or just scare people into voting.
It's like you better vote for PAP or else.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's gonna do, but is that what you get when you have a pipeline coming from SAF?
Probably, you know the intonations and the way
yeah.
speak.
Somehow as a female general, like the first, right?
Yeah.
Or one and only. You're placed in such a situation where it's like testosterone, it's all guys. Then you have to kind of play that game also.
Yeah.
You can't be the girly girl that's there. Then you wouldn't be taken seriously. So that was probably
her reasons for
her coping mechanism when she was first placed in that situation. It's kind of like Chan Chun Sing. When he first came out and started talking,
right.
His mannerism, his everything is so typical
of a general.
An army officer that people kind of critiqued the way he carried himself. So I don't know. Maybe all her residents have to fall in at 0530 for 5BX.
What GRC is she from?
I don't know. Ang Mo Kio, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, either way, thankfully she's not in mine. I don't want to deal with that, for sure.
Yours is what?
Oh, mine got this colorful character. The guy who, I think in the last general elections, he was like, there's a need for me and my wife to own a car because I travel, my wife travels, and so we both travel. And then he was just justifying his owning for cars. I think because the topic was about COE prices or some shit. But yeah, he was justifying it by that. So, maybe I'll see him driving around with his wife alongside him, 2 cars.
Hey, you all got car already? But yeah, okay. The thing is with like a lot of oppositions, they like just running for the sake of
Going against,
running.
right?
Like
Yeah.
just trying to go there and like, hey, fuck you lah, PAP.
Yeah.
Like that's the only purpose.
That's why.
Yeah. So there comes to a point where I think they were saying, it's just you can't just shoot down any fucking policy that they put up.
That's why.
Just because.
Yeah, just because, right? You need to come up with some substance.
Yeah, you don't agree, then you come up with your plan,
Yeah.
Then we discuss about it, right?
That's why.
As opposed to being non-productive and just shooting everything down.
Right.
It's like the conversation you have with like your girlfriend,
Yeah.
those sketches like, hey,
Yeah.
dear, what you want to eat for dinner? I don't know, anything. Then whatever you propose is like, hey, don't want
Yeah.
like I'm not feeling that. And like,
It's the same thing.
yeah,
man.
it's the same fucking thing, man.
Tell me what you want, what you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't check out any of much of the rallies this time, but second time will be my second time voting. The first time I was voting, I went down to the old Tampines Stadium, before they turned it into the hub and all that.
Yeah.
Right, so they were rallying there, and I think back then it was also NSP against PAP for Tampines. And yeah, I sit there and I listen to their shit. The whole time they're just slamming PAP. Like no substance of what policies they have or what plans they have in mind or anything like that. And then they just slamming. So yeah, I don't think that's the way to go about it, man.
But this time round, you haven't heard.
Yeah, I haven't really heard from them. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they have done something already, but yeah, I haven't.
Right. You haven't checked out TikTok. Has any party leveraged
On TikTok
yet?
No, I haven't seen anything also.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been on it much.
Okay.
So, but I don't think so. I mean, otherwise it would have popped up right in the first few like vids. Like now I scroll like 10 vids, then I off already. I cannot be bothered.
Right. It's all dancing Xiao Mei Mei.
Yeah, that's why. Enough. Go and study. Stop dancing so much.
Among all the opposition, I think
Workers' Party. Yeah.
Workers' Party lah.
Yeah,
Workers'
they
Party.
really step up their game, and they got their knight in shining armor. Their Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
Mr. James.
Captain America, Captain Singapore.
Captain Singapore.
Mr. James Lim.
Yeah.
I actually saw a meme, the scene from Avengers Endgame, the one where Captain America picks up Thor's hammer. So it's like the first part is like I think it was Thor fighting Thanos, right?
Yeah.
So it's like what's the Workers' Party? Lo Tia Kiang, is it?
Yeah.
It was like Lo Tia Kiang's face, then paste over Thor, and then after that PAP over Thanos. And then after that you see Thor falling down, and then after that the next slide shows James Lim's face. On Captain America.
Hammer some more.
Yeah, that's
like,
why. And
so
holding
apt.
the Worker Party hammer. He is worthy. I mean, he really put himself on the map with that debate.
Yeah. I mean, with his background also, like he's an economist. He's been at the World Bank for like so long already.
Yeah. I think Workers' Party actually, for one, right, they angled this way smarter than PAP, I feel. Like, so the whole thing now, right, is to get to the people, right? Try to represent yourself as the masses, right? You're not sitting up in that ivory tower or, have that white horse that you ride on. And I noticed like a lot of the PAPs, right, candidates, they tend to keep talking about very sad backstories. Oh, my father taxi driver, my family came from very poor background. They keep emphasizing on very pitiful, aspects to, I guess, try and relate to to the people who are poor, to the masses who, don't normally have that ivory tower. But then you see James Lim come in, and then he's like, he doesn't do that pity sob story thing. Instead, he just goes straight at it and says, I want to see, I've seen Singapore's GDP rise up, but I don't see it being transferred over to the people,
Yeah.
right? The people who made the sacrifices and all of that. So yeah, he's just trying to give back to the people, essentially, right?
Right.
And not come up with like a sad story about himself or anything like
Right.
that. But yeah, I feel like PAP's angle was that, or at least with some of the candidates, because
I
there was
wonder if it's like it's kind of like a natural course that it would take
to what?
for them to come out with that narrative lah.
Okay.
Like how cham like how
Like
fucking
how they-
like miserable, like they really
Right,
crawl
from
out
the bottom now
yeah.
at the top, right? Maybe I mean it could be
Because
that.
if let's say you put PAP in Workers' Party shoes, like if they use James's narrative, like would it have worked?
Probably not. Okay, depends. I mean, if you're looking at it from, I think the way people see it is like that PAP are the bad guys already, or maybe not bad guys, but they don't care. They are distant
Right.
from the people.
I think people want to bet on the underdog.
Yeah, that.
It's the underdog thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so this underdog has like brilliant ideas, wants to give back to the people, the successes, and yeah, I guess that works for him. Yeah, no, I was saying like there was this video compilation of the PAP members with the sad stories, and then they played the 雪花飘飘 over it.
I have seen thumbnails of that video, but I didn't
Yeah,
click on it. Maybe I should.
So that's why lah. And I don't know whether it's it's a thing that they're going for or not lah. But yeah, I mean it's nice to know that they also came from humble beginnings lah. But if you keep feeding their humble beginnings, like after a while, I'm like, okay lah, that's your problem lah. What about my humble beginnings? I want to prosper and move on in society. So enough about you. What are you gonna do for me?
I mean, they did get out like because of that system, and I don't know. There's also the talk about meritocracy,
Right.
and how it's. I mean, you can only a certain percentage of people is able to achieve, and in that kind of a system
Okay.
that
To come up on top, is it?
that this narrow view of society deems them worthy of moving up the socio-economic ladder.
Or even the
What if there's like really hardworking people that there's a limit to what they can do. They kind of fall off the wagon.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess this is more of the socialist aspect of politics, of like you taking care of the people,
Okay.
even though they might not be as talented as the upper echelons of
Right.
the nation. Yeah. So what do you do for those people?
Right.
It's not like they're fucking lazy. They're like just waiting for like welfare.
Handouts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they put in their effort, but their effort doesn't seem to weigh as much as other people's effort.
Right. Right.
I think that's where the unhappiness stems from.
Right. I mean, I see that also stemming from the education system, right? I mean, your politicians are the ones from your ACS, your RI. You do have those that don't graduate from these top schools, but they're not as recognized. I guess I don't know whether to say they're not as recognized is the right.
It's
thing.
still that paper chase.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, you have to have the credentials and the qualifications.
Hey, but I heard from someone, a few of the new generation of candidates, they are poly graduates.
Huh. Interesting.
I need to fact check.
Yeah.
I need to check my facts
Yeah, you should check that out.
later.
Hopefully it changes lah. I mean, when you're as a politician, I feel like your goal should be, that to serve the people, right? To go through all the pain and difficulties that the country is facing and serve the people and be the people, right? That's why that that guy is so respected. What country was it? The guy, he lives like he's the president of the country, but then he's like damn poor.
It's in like South America, right?
Yeah. Vice did a documentary on him.
Yeah, then there was a discussion with my colleague earlier. So it's like, okay, let's say you kind of take not pay cut lah, but actually it is a pay cut,
Right.
of like, you know, the ministers, and redirect the money into something useful, infrastructure, whatnot, as opposed to slashing prices of vendors serving the government. It might, you know, do more good as opposed to getting lower quality things being built.
Yeah.
And it doesn't last as long.
No, see, yeah, and like to me, right? Okay, the exorbitant paychecks that they get, right? I mean, one of their main reasons of justifying that is that it prevents corruption. You're not going to take any handouts from anyone because you're well paid and you're in political power. So it stems that out. But then if money is the thing that stops
It becomes
you
the
from
main
doing it,
motivator.
right? Yeah, then like isn't that skewed already?
That's corruption in itself.
Yeah, or like the principle or the
Yeah, they are motivated by the money that's there.
Yeah. So the philosophy behind why you're in politics or the principles behind why you're in politics is already a bit iffy, or it just I don't know, it just is weird, you know.
It is a weird thing to balance.
Yeah. It's difficult.
Because it really, if you don't pay enough, then
they
are going to be corrupt
for
also.
Sure, right? Because corporations make millions. You know, if a 7-year-old YouTuber is making more than you when you're a leader of a country, then it's questionable already. You know, So that becomes
then
a problem.
if a good offer comes by, then it's like,
why not? I take this. Yeah, right? I'm not getting shit for what I'm doing.
So it is a very tough thing to balance.
That's why, and so like back to that guy. His name is Jose Mujica, the president of Uruguay.
The world's poorest.
Yeah, the world's poorest president. Right? He's like an old uncle that lives on Pulau Ubin. I swear. Like the house also look like that. And this guy is the president, and he wants to be that way because he feels that the president shouldn't be the one having, or the prime minister shouldn't be the one having the exorbitant paycheck and, living in that ivory tower.
Oh, so have you realized during the debate, all the opposition, they had like a minute and a half?
Oh yeah. I didn't quite like that idea also. I get it because the structure is that you're now fighting against
like 1v3.
Yeah, in a way. But okay, it's because PAP is the leading government and they have majority of the seats. So you have these people coming in as opposition, and therefore the time should be segmented equally according to how much power you have, or in that sense. So Vivian Balakrishnan got how long was it?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, right? And then each of them were only given 1 minute 30. I guess it's fair because your main government versus opposition. So main government needs to clarify all the things that these three people are saying. But I don't really like the structure of that because the way it comes off seems questionable also. Like if you have 1 minute 30 seconds, right, to say whatever you need to say, you're gonna be damn kanchong. You're gonna be more aggressive, or at least you need to push out everything, whatever you need to push out in that 1 minute and 30 seconds.
And Dr. Chi.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That guy got other pressures to deal with also. Right? He's been beaten and
the whole thing about with the walkabout, like they denied his application for it. Yeah. Because of the COVID thing.
Yeah. Then
then you hold a G for what?
That's why, right? They've beaten him down before already, bankruptcy, stopping him from traveling, speaking out politically. So this dude, has been a long time, it's like that other guy that not our time one, Lee Kuan Yew's time.
Cham Si Tong.
Is it? I know there's a dude who Lee Kuan Yew like imprisoned for 38 years or something like that, 28 years
With the internal security.
Yeah, under the ISA because he had communist ideals. And so this dude, he would have been free if he were to sign a statement saying that he pushed forth communist agendas or violent communist agendas. So the only reason why this guy didn't want to sign that thing is because he did not want to accept the fact that the violent statement was there, because he intended no violence whatsoever, but his principles were based off of communism, right? And so he ended up in house arrest for like 28 years or something like that.
Chia Tai Po.
Yeah. So this was not our time, this was Lee Kuan Yew's time, right? And when he was in power. So I guess Chee Soon Juan is like, Lee Hsien Loong's, right? What Lee Kuan Yew is to this guy.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, Chee Soon Juan, not that bad, right? No house arrest and all that. But the hurdles he had, he's been facing and have had to face, it's pretty insane. So, I mean, when you're the ruling government, you have that level of power, and the law is, I wouldn't say it's on your side, but you have resources and
right.
That power to silence those that go against you.
Another thing is
political.
They're saying
adversaries.
Vivian Balakrishnan is not. Why was he debating? Because he's not like the 4th gen leaders that PAP is pushing for.
Right.
Which I mean, okay lah, more power.
I mean, he eloquent, good looking.
Of course, you want to field your best player out there,
right? You want to put the Cristiano Ronaldo out there, right?
It's like,
so I
don't fault you, but I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Workers' Party. Right? They
yeah.
purposely threw Jamus Lim.
Right.
Nobody knew about, or at least I didn't know anything about Jamus
That's
Lim
like
prior to coming out, right? This thing.
Black Horse, man.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't put like Low Tia Kiang or Pritam Singh on the
who's that guy?
debate also.
The Desmond Lim, is it?
Oh yeah! Oh my god! Wait, that guy's not Workers' Party. Right?
No.
Yeah, he's some other party.
Yeah, but
the Churches guy, right?
The Churches.
I don't want to make fun of him.
But he's got heart, man.
Yeah, he's got heart. I love this dude. Like, recently he made a video of him.
He's still running, right?
Yeah. And he talked about how he's always trying to improve his English because he knows that he grew up in a, non-English environment. And so, I mean...
Really, you gotta give it to him. Like, if I were him and my English is like that, I don't know. I cannot.
Like you'll be so scared.
Yeah, I'll be so self-conscious and be like, okay, fuck, what people gonna think of me? But
this dude's putting himself out.
Yeah, man, he's like
respect.
I guess he put his ego aside.
Yeah.
And he's really doing it for the people.
Yeah. The passion is there.
Yeah, he's organized so many like heartland events, like grassroots stuff.
Right. I think that let's think about the political climate in Singapore. Going up against PAP is a nightmare, right? So any opposition party or any small individual who wants to put themselves out there to actually run against them on that field, respect, man, hats off.
Yeah.
Right? Because the hurdles you're going to face is...
then you have those colonel ask you to watch your 6.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's like blatant...
Exactly, man.
Like... threat,
That's why. Scary shit, man. I mean, literally, if you're not careful, one slip up and that's it. ISA is on you, and you can be in prison. You can become a political.
Like they catch anything, right?
That's
like any dirt on you, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. You're fucked. Any dirt, any slip up of anything that you say, then that's it.
Yeah.
So
I hope they don't get any dirt on Jamus.
He's
like Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
He's not to go on Batman again, but he's like Harvey Dent.
He's Harvey Dent. Right? The people need this dude. Right? Yeah, we cannot find any dirt on him. Don't worry, we will be the Batman. We protect him. We take the heat.
Just anyhow link whatever dirt back to you.
I'm looking forward to this one. I think I really feel that Workers' Party is a little bit more on the map this time because of the debate.
And there definitely needs to be a change. Like, I think for so many generations, it's like PAP has gone uncontested.
Uncontested, yeah. Majority of the seats.
Yeah, majority of the seats.
I mean, the first breather that we got was when Workers' Party came in, occupying 5 seats? Right? I think it's 5.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah. So that's the first ever, time that happened.
Yeah.
Right. 2 election cycles ago, I think.
And just basic thing, like groupthink.
Yeah.
Such
right.
a.
So, okay, for those of you listening who don't know what groupthink is a psychological phenomenon where individuals tend to agree with each other if they belong from the same group. And if you don't change that group, then their ideas kind of go one track. There's no diversity in their opinion because of this phenomenon known as groupthinker. Right?
It's efficient. It's an efficient way of coming to consensus.
Yeah.
But you get blindsided lah.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of cognitive biases.
That's why.
That comes with
I mean, you don't have that. I think in creative psychology, there's this exercise, the different colored hats, where you get into a room of like 6 different individuals, and then each person wears a different colored hat, and each of that hat is meant to represent a very specific aspect of what you need to argue for. So, like the red is you will argue based on emotion. The black hat is the one that always says something against whatever
what does
is
it
being
have to
said.
be black?
I don't know. You don't have that with PAP. I'm sure people put up differing views and ideas, but
have lah, because PAP now also split into like new and old, right?
Yeah, true. You're going to get a difference of opinion lah. But generally, if you're from the same party, your views are aligned. You there's already a structure that you fit into, right? And I think when I was like learning about how politics work or something, I stumbled upon this term called a party whip. Have you heard of that before?
It's an individual in the party, right? That keeps
everybody in line,
check.
essentially.
Yeah.
So like when I found out about the party whip, I was like, fuck, then like that you come up with different ideas. If like let's say you do have a difference in opinion when something is being discussed, then if the party whip is there and you all have already agreed upon this thing, but last minute you have this like thought that comes in, you can't say shit, right? You
say then get whipped.
Yeah, that's why, and then get kicked out of the party or something like that.
If you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's politics. So there were quite a number of interesting things in the debate. The one where Vivian Balakrishnan looks lovingly at James Lim. Yeah, they brought up some interesting points. I think the first one was the PSP guy. Do you remember his name?
Francis.
Okay. Yeah, the PSP guy talked about businesses and sustainability of giving handouts to businesses. So
it was through this COVID thing, the government has actually helped out the SMEs, like in the form of bridging loans and SG traineeship, where they provide partial payment of the wages of new hires to kind of ease the burden of SMEs paying full wages to new hires to help their cash flow. I think there are certain grants as well that help companies digitalize to compete in a global environment. But during the debate, Francis was saying, ICU measures. It's not something that's supposed to be long term. And if you look at it in this way, like having free market forces work on these companies, the weaker companies confirm will get weed out.
Weeded out, yeah.
Yeah. And we need to let that happen naturally
Yeah.
and not by injecting
More money.
more money into these ineffective enterprises.
Yeah. I think there needs to be some kind of system or agency out there that focuses on looking at businesses and seeing whether or not it's viable in the long run, and whether or not these handouts should even be given to the businesses. Because if it is not viable, then yeah, why give them the handouts now? Keep them afloat for this short term.
I don't even think it has to be an agency. It just needs to be a time frame.
Okay.
Like after a certain point, it's like, okay, we are done holding your hand.
Right.
Like, you guys need to innovate on your own. You guys need to find opportunities on your own and not rely on free money.
Handouts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
What about the education?
Oh yeah,
aspect?
that was quite an eye opener. So it started off with Dr. Chi. He mentioned how the education system is skewed in a sense that he brought up a specific example of Bukit Timah and how all the top-notch schools are all being funneled towards the Bukit Timah area.
The branded.
Yeah, the branded schools, right, going into these areas where property prices are a lot higher, and so you already get a certain caliber of individuals or certain category
There's a
of
barrier
individuals,
there, a barrier of entry.
right, because of the location. And yeah, they actually moved out the not so good schools out of those areas, and they put all the top ones in. And so
Is that social engineering?
I think so. Yeah, I really think it is to some extent. I mean, it's like you find the creme de la creme, right? The cream
Yeah.
of the crop, and then you purposely push them and make them.
You really filter
Yeah.
it out
Yeah,
on the basis of socioeconomic status.
exactly, right? And then the other schools. I mean, and then Vivian Balakrishnan's response to that was that I'm sure you can touch your heart and say that no matter what neighborhood school you graduate from, you will be proud to be from that school. And then at that point, I was like,
Well, he mentioned he was kind of talking to James at that point. He was saying
Oh,
you've worked overseas,
Ah.
and when you compare our schools with the schools from overseas, there's no comparison. Like our education system is so much better that when you pick a neighborhood school here, it's
better than a neighborhood school.
better than a
overseas.
neighborhood school overseas. But that's kind of missing the point
Yeah,
here.
apples and oranges.
Yeah, we were talking about locally how you are segregating
That's
the
why.
type of students going into certain schools already.
Exactly, and how the mindset of these individuals are forced to look at a certain way. I mean, I have students who come from the top schools, and they like day one, teachers say the most horrible shit to them, not to the people in these top schools, but about the people not from the top schools. They'll say, hey, y'all are from this school, y'all are not from that school. And then they will identify the Jialat kind of school, and then they will just tell them, y'all are not expected to be that way, And so there's already this disparity that develops in the education system.
Right.
And how people look at the schools you come from. And it affects the students who are within the school already, the mentality that they have. If you preach to the good people that they are the better people, yeah, it changes their mindset. If you tell the stupid people that they are stupid and worthless, then yeah, it affects their mindset.
I'm pretty sure it's not an intended effect,
Yeah.
but in a society where face value is quite high.
And our focus on paper chase is high.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are inevitable outcomes that tend to pop out. Yeah. And James Lim also mentioned about how Workers' Party wants to reduce class sizes. Yeah, that shit needs to happen. Class sizes is a disgusting
So what's
thing to deal with.
the class size now?
It's pretty much, I mean, it's slightly less than our time. You know, our time we would get like 42 in a class, right? Around there. Now it's about, there are still classes that are like up to 40, but most are around 35-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, which to me is still a nightmare to deal with.
It's hard to hold the attention of
of 30 plus people. And then,
and kids.
Yeah, kids on top of that. And then differing, abilities of the individuals. And yeah, I don't know, it just drains the teachers. I mean, talk to any teacher out there dealing with a class of 40 kids, they can't do much, except put forth the curriculum that they're supposed to put forth and then try their best to get students to understand.
That's why it falls on tuition centers.
Exactly, right? And that's why tuition is such a big industry here. And I mean, you see, if you split your classes up, you're going to require more manpower. Then you funnel all your tuition teachers to go back into these schools.
Right.
I mean, one of the main reasons why I am a private tuition, I mean, not only private, but why I am outside of the system is because I cannot deal with that amount of class size. And
I don't think it's easy for anybody to,
exactly,
to do that.
right?
Unless you are like Tony Robbins.
yeah. And okay, Tony Robbins would apply to individuals that want to listen and be motivated, But when you have kids that are, just there for the sake of being at school, then
they'll rather be playing.
Yeah, it's a completely different story. So you have educators out there, and if you reduce the class sizes, you can have this surge of educators out there coming into schools and making a difference. So I think it's a viable plan, and I think it really needs to change. And I don't understand why till now we haven't modeled it after that. Finland's always top in education, and
By what metric?
By there's this metric, what's the term? PISA,
Like how many slices?
the Program for International Student Assessment. Right, so I mean we're pretty high up on this, but in terms of the way education is looked at and the freedom kids have, the stresses, and don't even get me started on the amount of stressed out kids that we have, the anxiety attacks. I've been listening to my Sec 4s talking about their classmates all going crazy. So many cases of people dealing with anxiety and all that. During our time, how many people dealing with anxiety at Sec 4, right?
Okay, what kind of anxiety are they?
Like panic attack, like legit fucking anxiety disorder. Like panic attack will run off, hide in corners of the school because they just can't deal with the pressure and stress. So it's a nightmarish, thing to deal with. And obviously it's not happening to the majority of students, but the very fact that it's happening, says something about the system and says that we need to change something about it and reduce that level of and I really think class sizes would start with that. Teachers have more time with students and
the adult to child ratio.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, I think the debate was quite eye-opening. It brought up a lot of interesting
Unknown
things.
stuff.
Yeah, right. I mean, I honestly didn't really know about the whole Bukit Timah shift.
Right.
I mean, I know the good schools are there, but I didn't know that they shifted out schools like
Lousier schools.
Yeah, lousier schools. Like
Quote unquote.
yeah. See, we already know, and we already have that tag that we throw on schools already. So yeah, it's there. It's out there.
Yeah. Like you can do your best to not label them, but
it's labeled.
People know about it already, right?
Exactly. Right. And it's common knowledge in Singapore, right? When you want your kid to go into a school, that's the first thing you start Googling. What are the top schools in Singapore?
Yeah.
And then there's a list already. So, yeah.
Maybe not official list, but there is a list.
There is a list, yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, this is actually episode 10 of our podcast, and we are actually going to break up our podcast into seasons. So this is officially the end of season 1.
I thought we were breaking up.
Oh, no. We're still together. We're still going to record podcasts.
We're still going to record together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to take this chance to kind of reorganize and reflect, kind of audit what we've been doing. Doing well, doing not so good. And yeah, we'll come back with maybe different segments, maybe more memes.
Yeah, highest quality content.
Highest quality content.
But yeah, I mean, it will also give you all some time to catch up on all the episodes.
Yes,
you have
we'll
missed out.
remarket some shit to you.
Yeah.
We'll force things down your throat.
Yeah, but we would love to, for you all to catch up on all the episodes that you have yet to catch up on, and give us your feedback.
Yes.
On
or what other topics you want us to cover.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a wonderful journey with you guys, right?
I cry every time.
I'm Jeremy.
And this is Guy.
And we are Gong Jiao Wei. Thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate everything, right? And we will be back soon, for sure.
I'll be back.
See ya.